Welcome back to the Bumper Breakfast. Joining me on the show this morning. My first question.
I'm always happy on Wednesdays because I'm always having a double.
I met her on a Wednesday.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And you see, I harassed her on microphone. Let me confess my sin so that they will apologize.
How did that happen?
On my behalf. So she was like, I was like, I've never seen you before in my life or my sense. She said, I engaged the video. I said, not on my own, no. And she was like, this is my card. Call me, I'll tell you, I'll call. And the moment I gave her a call, she was like, I'm not in the state. I'll be back on Tuesday. I'll be with you Wednesday morning and all that. One woman that keeps her word. Oh, wow. And she picks her call. Government official that picks her call. We should be celebrating them.
And that's why we're crushing on her.
This morning. She's wearing my favorite color, green. I have the essay, the special advisor to the president. Promotion. The special advisor to the Lagos State Governor on Education, Adetola Salau, PhD, joins us this morning on the show. Good morning.
Good morning.
See the way he's sweeting it.
I love it.
That PhD part.
I love it.
When you are going to school, he must show.
All the school fees must show.
All the school fees must show. Sleepless nights.
The
research paper.
Sleepless nights, especially.
Yes. It must show. Let's celebrate it.
Good to have you on the show.
PhD, you're doing government work. When you don't have your time, you must celebrate. Yes, we have Adetola on the show this morning joining us, and we'll be talking about the Lagos State government educational policies. One of the reasons why I had to harass her, because I told you it was an harassment, I must confess. One of the reasons why I had to harass her was because we kept hearing of different things, and I know that I also go out and I usually levy a lot of accusations to the Lagos State government while also celebrating some of the strides that they are doing. It's quite it gladdens my heart as a person when I find that I talk about something and I see that the government is doing something, about it. So I'm going to begin this morning by talking about the issue of truancy, which has been one of the biggest challenges, of education in Nigeria as a whole. When they talk about out-of-school children, people tend to think it is the insecurity or maybe it is famine or something that is causing it. But then truancy is also a big reason, while a large number of children are not going to school. You've done the research, you're in that department. Tell us exactly why it is rampant in a city like Lagos. I mean, it's a mega city.
The issue of truancy. First of all, children anyway. Children all over the world are also, especially after COVID, especially after the pandemic, a lot of children are having issues at school. Let's first of all even address that elephant in the room. It's a major issue. And I always like to post that on my status so that people can see that we're not the only ones dealing with it. In fact, I just posted on my status, I believe 2 days ago, how math scores were failing in New York State and across the US and how they're working on it. And I also posted, because I'm a math teacher myself, I posted, I'm not surprised. You can't really teach math behind a computer and on somebody's phone. There has to be contact, student-to-student interaction and teacher-to-teacher interaction.
So to teach math?
Yeah, to teach math. I mean, there are a lot of other subjects too, but there's something special about the sciences and mathematics. Exactly. But anyway, about truancy, there are a lot of factors. A lot of things are going on in society. There's a lot of turbulence, a lot of emotional turmoil. And again, this is not just in Nigeria only, it's across the world. COVID really unleashed a lot of things, mental and psychological and physical on the world. It's always been there, but it's actually expanded. And we also, of course, inflation is another issue that we're having with a lot of the unrest across the world. And as we know, inflation affects so many things, food, being able to pay school fees. So a lot of parents, I give you an example, something that has never happened before and totally blew me off. Immediately school opens in September, you see this rush, this influx of students across the roads get jammed up, everybody's rushing to work, and then the school buses, the schools. For the first time ever this September, that first week, I did not see that much.
There was no traffic. Yeah.
And it hit me, and I said, there's something very wrong. And what is it? A lot of people were struggling. School fees. We're struggling to put money together. We're struggling to put things together. And it's not just here. Look at in Paris, you saw that big protest everywhere across the world. They're having issues. So what happens is the children are now home, the parents have to go to work, and the children are, restless. And then, of course, some parents, unfortunately, send their children to go and start working to also contribute to their livelihoods at home. And it's just such a spiraling effect. But I can actually say, I don't know if I can segue into this, that we've been doing quite a number of programs in regards to this. There was one that we started right after COVID-19, and it was called, it is called, because we're still working on it, and it's still ongoing, Project Zero, and that is all the way from our primary school. So it's actually being run by our agency that is in charge of primary education, last bed. Yes, and we've been working on providing their books, providing them with school bags, and then making students see that, look, we're here to support you.
Get that.
Yes. And then we have this, we partnered, it's a PPP arrangement where it's public-private partnership, where all these NGOs and organizations come to also contribute and help us to support these children. Because it's a serious issue. I tell people that the last thing you want are children all across the streets. And that's another thing that I'm very proud of Lagos State is. You will notice that during the school day, between 8, 9 till about 2, you do not really see children on the street. Because they know that every single police officer, every single law enforcement officer, plus the teachers themselves have the right to detain them and ask them, where is your home? Where are you supposed to be right now? You are not supposed to be here. That is one policy that is really, really enforced here at Lagos State.
But what about hunger? If you provide the bags, the books, the textbooks, what about hunger? Well, hunger is a serious one.
That's something that is in the works right now. I can actually say that we're working on that right now. But I would like for us to focus on the fact that at least we're making sure that we're moving the children out from the streets, they're going to school, and then they're being supplied with this. Plus infrastructure, we're also making sure that we're building. I'm sure it has been in the news, and a lot of you have heard about a lot of the schools that we've been rehabilitating, plus building. Because there are not enough buildings. All of us know that already. There's this is no hidden fact.
120, 130 per class.
Yes, there are not enough spaces, and these students need spaces. And we've been really working on that. I can say this emphatically that for the past 3 years, we have built and rehabilitated a lot of schools. We have provided furniture. Then another area when you talk about
furniture.
Students,
Before you go, let's talk about that furniture.
Okay, before I go on.
So I go to a school, say for example, Ikosi Junior Secondary School. And in GSS 1, you have at least 45% of the class sitting on the floor. No benches, no. The parents maybe did not buy the chairs, and so these pupils are struggling. They sit on the windowsill, they perch on somebody's table, they sit on their floor.
Okay, first of all, let me correct that. Lagos State education is free, primary and secondary. That's basic 12, and that's one of the mandates. I believe it's UNESCO, is that all children must be educated. It's a clear basic right. You can go and read it in the charter there. It's very, very clear, and we are adhering by it. We signed and we are adhering by it. So it's free. Our children go to school for free. So there's no need for parents to provide desks or books, because we even give them that. Now, the issue of desks, we've been working on that. We actually, our governor and this administration, we actually have an agency that's dedicated to the rehabilitation of schools. It's called SCRIPS, and also this furniture for the schools. And I can actually attest, and I can show you if I had to start going to my phone, the fact that we've been distributing this furniture, these desks, and the other apparatus that we need in the classroom. Yes, we've been doing that. Now, is it 100%? I'm not going to sit down here and tell you that it is. It's not. But we've been working on it, and there are lists, and we go and we make sure. The main issue actually is not the desk. The main issue is that we just have a lot of them in these schools. And I cannot run away from that fact, because it's the truth. It's the salient truth. There are just too many. And that's why we're working on creating these schools. And I'm so proud to say that a lot of people have also risen up as responsible individuals. I remember Oyikorodu, a man actually donated his school to our public, not his school, his house, to our public system, where he gave his house so that the children in that community, I believe it was a junior secondary, so that the children in that community could use that house as a school. He donated it to us, and I remember it was such a big deal because we were amazed that a private individual could do this. This was in 2020. A private individual could do this so that these children can come to a building.
deserves an award.
Yes, he does, and I believe we gave him one. I can't remember his name right now. And we gave him, I mean, such an individual deserves so much accolades.
Yeah.
I don't know why I did not write down his name. He gave this building, and the students are going there, they are learning, and he also provided some desk. Of course, we also added to that. Yeah, we boosted and added to that. But the fact is, even if he didn't even provide desk, the fact that he gave
a building
so that the children in that community, that area, have somewhere to go and they're learning.
So you just supply teachers?
Yes, and that's what we've been doing, and it's been fantastic. Because remember, like I said, there's not enough spaces. Some of these classes, as you said, just too many children for these teachers, and there's not enough equipment in there.
Doctor,
Yes.
I'd like to ask you this. Speaking of the Project Zero, is there any evaluation you carry out to ascertain the number of students whose parents cannot really afford the things you give out? Because it's very much possible that students whose parents can afford those things will still fight to have those things.
Since you
Yes.
said it's a basic right, I think.
There's a lot of data that we have around that, which even brings me to another project that we are also that have been working on and has been ongoing since 2020 also, Eco Excel.
Okay.
That's the one where we're making sure that a lot of these students are moved out and they're in the classroom and they're actually learning. And the teachers are also making sure that they work with them, and they're using simple smartphones and they're using tablets to provide information for them. And we're also able to keep track of the students and the teachers that are in those classrooms. And it's being done with international standards. And I have to say there's so much in regards to making sure that these students are able to match. In fact, let me even just give you a story, sorry, because I love stories. When I started this, I was like a lot of people who are, in the private and, what's really going on in those public schools? Everything is really bad. They are not really good. Those teachers are not really good. The students are barely learning. And as I started going around during COVID and even after COVID, interviewing teachers with the Honorable Commissioner as well as other stakeholders in the education sector, going to the schools, talking to the teachers, engaging with them, working with them on training, I realized we have a lot of dedicated teachers. And the students are fantastic. In fact, I'm just coming back from Abuja right now, where our students here in Lagos State, in District 1, that's Agege, Alimosho, and Ifadojayi, our students were actually champions in a national competition. A German organization puts together these entrepreneurship programs, and they've been doing it in Ogun State, they've been doing it in Edo, Plateau, Niger, and of course now us, Lagos State. And they had all these students from all these different states compete against each other, and we took first and second place. And these are our students here in Lagos State. And imagine, look at the places I mentioned, public school, look at the places
Alimosho,
Agege, those are where you have a lot of our children. Yes, a lot of our children are out of schools, they're very rough, very, very, but I love them because their enthusiasm is out of this world. And these students, they produce such stellar work. I was telling someone, if you see the way they were explaining the business plans, they were explaining corporate structure, their board of directors, I never sounded like that when I was that age. Yet these students are able to do that. So we have all these programs that we're doing, and these programs are boosting these students and making these students to be able to compete. We also have, some of our students are also supposed to have gone to Germany, but unfortunately they were not able to. They were supposed to go and compete in a robotics competition in Germany. But
do we have a robotics?
Oh yes, we do a lot of things around that in STEM and in STEAM, which are a lot of the programs that I push and I promote. I've been running for the past 3 years a program, initiative called STEAM Up Lagos, where we've been doing programs in collaboration with GIZ, who's the one I just mentioned, US Consulate, other international partners. And we do all these drone programs, robotic programs for the students, and the students compete. We had some students through this program with the US Consulate. The students competed.
It was
fantastic.
Very strange.
Oh, it was fantastic. We even had a drone soccer competition, and the children are going to eventually go to the US and compete on an international stage. So imagine, these are our public school students, and they're exposed to this kind of apparatus, this equipment, this kind of training, and people who come to come and boost them. And people don't understand that these children, they are not in private schools, but they also have the same material, the same
opportunities to learn
now that we're giving to them. And that's why I try to use ventures like this to tell people, please come and partner with us to continue to bring about fantastic change like this for our students?
Oh, so basically, the Lagos State government is doing quite a lot. Now,
Quite a lot.
for the issue of finance for these schools, a lot of activists, a lot of public affairs analysts will come out and say, oh, education is not really free. The children are still paying a token, they're still paying a stipend. Can you clarify that? Because then they will tell you that they don't pay. But then
don't pay.
the children say they ask us to bring so amount for this, for that.
And the children should
Especially
report. The children should report when these things happen. Really, it's actually free. But let's actually come back. I tell people the issue about education is something that we really need to go back and revisit. This is a social good. And a social good, actually, everybody should contribute. It shouldn't be free. And what do I mean by this? For it to be really, really excellent, you're going to have to bring money from somewhere. I like to use the example of when I lived in the States. And I was a teacher there, so I know exactly what I'm talking about. I used to work in really, really rough areas in New York City. But I lived with my parents then. And my parents lived in a really, really nice area outside New York City. And the taxes were higher where my parents lived. And of course, the services that were provided, because education is also free in the States, particularly in those quote-unquote blue states like where I was in New York. And the education, the quality of the materials, the infrastructure, where I taught in the city, in those quote-unquote rough areas, versus what was available where my parents lived in the suburbs, night and day. I'm going to give you examples. For example, there was an astronomy lab in the middle school and high school in the neighborhood where I lived. Astronomy lab. Leave even biology, leave even chemistry, leave physics. Astronomy lab. Could you imagine that? Then, by the time the students get into what we call, senior secondary, we call it senior secondary here in Nigeria. By the time the students get into seniors, they start giving them laptops. Each student gets a laptop. This laptop is not public school. I didn't say private.
in the suburb.
In the suburb. I didn't say that they give them the laptop in school. No. They take this laptop 24/7 at home. Anywhere they are going, they're using that laptop.
What about when they graduate?
Oh no, of course they turn it back.
Okay.
And then they also give them graphing calculators. And if you say, oh, my graphing calculator is not working, no, it's what, they replace it.
Oh, really?
That never happened for us in my schools where I was teaching in the city. The laptops, we use them.
Please clarify the city. You're talking about New York City.
New York City, yes. I'm sorry, when we say the city, we always mean New York City. For us,
You guys will not think of
Lagos.
City
So,
still.
I know. So, the laptops, when we use them when I was in New York City, in those my neighborhoods where I taught, we'll use the laptop, we'll take it back, we'll lock it up. We'll use the graphing calculators right after class. I'm looking at the numbers. Okay, okay, yes, check. Okay, you return this. I have to, in fact, I give the students assigned calculators with numbers so that I make sure that everybody returns back my calculators. So the students don't get to take it home to practice. Whereas in mathematics, what is the key thing with mathematics? Practice. But they can't do that. But those children in the suburbs, they do. So when it's time for testing, who do you think does better in the test?
Suburbs.
So infrastructure comes back to money. Money, which is funny you're talking about. And why are they able to have more money in the suburbs is the taxation is higher, and those people pay their taxes. These are Wall Street people, these are higher middle class, these upper crust people, they have money. When I said Wall Street, I'm talking these hedge fund managers.
No wonder they say that children don't need to go to private schools because then their public schools are really well equipped.
They're good. So you can't, it's like night and day. So it's a social good. There needs to be a fusion of money so that we're able to create really, really fantastic, innovative programs for the students. The program I just mentioned, that drone program, it wasn't free. It was funded by the U.S. Council in Lagos. And look at the changes it made for the students. The program I just said, I just came back from in Abuja, that was funded by the German government through their organization, GIZ. That's not free either. So you see, all these things that are beneficial, that are fantastic for our children, they cost something. We need to have a real sit down and rethink among ourselves to realize how much of a benefit, a great benefit education is to us as a whole. And now ask ourselves, how are we going to contribute and sacrifice for this? I like whenever people talk about the story of South Korea. They always talk about how they are doing so well. You're all using all these phones. Even if you're using your iPhone, they have Samsung chips inside them. It didn't happen overnight. And for the first time this year, I heard a story which really exemplifies why they are excellent now. I was told that after World War II, and the country was in complete shambles because of being attacked by China and Japan, they had nothing. So they had to now come and have a rethink to themselves, like, what are we going to do now? How are we going to do this? And everybody in their homes brought out things that were valuable to them and gave them to the banks, for the banks to use as collateral, as loans to get money. And then when the banks got those funds, a lot of those funds, they turned them to use them in the educational sector. They wanted to make sure that every single child was able to go to school for free. Every child. And not just, maybe just the first 6 years, which is primary. They wanted primary, secondary, and tertiary. And they achieved it. So it's not an accident that these are the people now producing these chipsets. These are the people who are dominating in a lot of these technological advances across the world. There's a direct correlation. So we need to have a
investment.
Yes, we need to have a sit down. Yes. So I tell people that as a parent, one of the biggest things you can do, and I do see that we do this in Nigeria, but we need to do more, is for you to sit down and decide, I'm going to put this amount into my child's holistic education.
Yes.
Yeah, Doctor, I'd like to ask you this. Firstly, I must applaud the Lagos State government, for their commitment in really boosting the education sector. For me, in my own opinion, Lagos State is leading when it comes to education sector.
Oh, quite a number of sectors.
And I would want to ask you, what has been the challenges so far, the major challenges in doing what you are doing?
You mentioned one of them. It's money. Then the next one, of course, is we just have so many children.
You can't stop them.
And you can't
people
stop
are
them.
Born more children.
Yeah, first of all, people are having a lot of children. But then let's even leave.
We can't stop that.
Let's leave having a lot of children. To me, actually, our greater issue is migration. People are coming from other states because remember what do we have?
That's true.
Free education, free healthcare. So they want to take advantage of this. They want to partake of this.
Which they don't get in
which they don't get, but it's really putting enormous pressure on the system and what we have here.
How have you been handling that?
That's what we're doing. We're having major partnerships, making this call to action. People come and join us, come and work with us. Because it's enormous. As of this year, I believe our estimate for the number of out-of-school children here was about 2 million. Wow. It's too much. Wow. And we're
in
really,
a city like Lagos,
and we're really trying to decimate that number. We're trying to.
Are you saying that it's 2 million children? Of what percentage? Do you have the data of what percentage are what they call foreigners? Foreigners.
I don't want to call them foreigners. Let's say out of state.
Out of state.
Migrants.
Out of state migrants.
Migrants, yes. A lot of our. I'm trying to remember.
Do you know there are foreigners?
Are you saying the indigenous?
People who are not Nigerians.
Are you saying the indigenous of Lagos are the first beneficiary of all of this?
No, I think
no, everybody, please, we're very, very fair. If you go to our schools and you look at the WAEC, I hope you know that we also pay WAEC fees for all our students.
I think we discussed that.
Yes, all our students across all our 6 districts, all our 57 local government areas, we pay the WAEC school fees. WAEC fees.
What about junior WAEC?
Junior WAEC, yes, our students also take their decade too.
And you pay for it?
And we pay. Isn't that a lot?
And you conduct the common entrance.
And then we conduct common entrance.
Which is also free.
Which is so. That's can you see that these are major strains in the budget?
So I'm trying to do the calculation in my head right now.
So do you see that revenue generation is a serious issue? Revenue generation is a serious issue. Yes, revenue generation is an issue, and those are the things that we've been working on. And I'm very glad about the structure that we've been having in these states, and we continue to have, which has been helping us to generate revenue, or else it will be very hard to meet these demands. I'm not saying it's easy because it's quite a challenge balancing this, but at least, there is money and we are still running these programs. That WAEC, since 1999, we've been paying WAEC fees. It's a marvel. Every single year we are paying these fees. And then let's get to the teachers. These teachers always get paid. We're not a state. You will never hear in the news that Lagos State teachers have not been paid. No, go through your archives. Lagos teachers are always paid. And just recently, I believe it was about 3 weeks ago, our governor just increased the salaries.
Wow.
Yes, and then we're making sure that everyone is also looking to the welfare of our teachers, and we're rewarding them. I don't know if you've heard about our teacher merit program, where those teachers were highlighted and celebrated, and they were giving those cards. And then, of course, the runner-ups are also giving other fantastic prizes and they were also giving fantastic training programs too. So we do quite a bit. Now, could more be done, of course, and we're still working on more. And that's why, yes, I keep on making this call to action, and we need more people to work with us and partner with us.
And Doctor, have you been getting enough positive feedback from parents and students likewise?
Yes. I can give you a story. Just right now, yesterday, when I was at Abuja with our winning teams, our champion teams.
As we let you go,
And I will keep emphasizing that one of the students was actually practically a dropout. He was in, I believe it was Alimosho. Yes, Alimosho area. And this child was practically a dropout. And he had lost interest in school. He didn't want to keep coming to classes. And for him, he was like, what's the point? And then we started this program in September of last year, where we started working with their teachers, and the teachers now started working with them, telling them about how you work together, how it's possible to start using whatever waste you have around you, to start creating products, how it's possible to start making money from that. All of a sudden, this child got engaged and got interested in what we're doing. And he started coming for that programs. A lot of these programs, we have them during our co-curricular day, which is on Wednesday. And then some of the teachers also use a couple of free periods that they have during the school week. And this child now started coming in. And before you know what's happening, instead of staying outside school, he actually started attending school. And then from attending school, he just finished this June. And I saw this child when I was there in Abuja, and I just marveled. And those are some of the stories that GIZ themselves are going to also share and talk about in their documentary. But as a teacher, something like that is what I always tell people. When you get these children engaged, when they're seeing that what they're learning is relevant to what they're going to be doing outside.
It comes to the issue of the
I'm sure you
curriculum.
must have felt so proud when you saw that thing yesterday.
I did. I know you were coming there.
Which comes to the issue of curriculum. But I'm not going to talk about curriculum today. The next time, the next time you have Adetola here, we're going to be talking about the Lagos State intervention when it has to do with the curriculum, because you can't finish talking about it.
Oh my God, we'll be here all day.
But before our boss calls and says, "Kebisi, what is it now?" She's supposed to be on the meeting. Thank you so much for being here.
Good to have you.
Our guest this morning is the Special Advisor to the Lagos State Governor on Education. She's Miss Adetola Sarao, PhD. You have to emphasize that part. PhD. And
I'm really crushing on that PhD. I'm crushing on that.
I love it.
Stop crushing my crush. And of course, a teacher who has vast experience in the field, not just as an education, but somebody who has been a teacher before, and that's all about putting the right hand in the right place. You know, the square peg in the square hole, not otherwise. Thank you so much for being on the show this morning. We'll take a break. When we come back, we're talking about domestic violence. Is it possible to rescue and resettle? I have some representatives from the Lagos State Domestic and Sexual Violence Agency right here in the studio.